Hey there, it's David H. Lawrence the 17th, and today I want to talk to you about killing customers with kindness. And remember, in one of the other videos, we talked about the fact that everybody's a customer, right? So I sell stuff. I offer products, I offer services to the public, to actors, to consumers, etc. And making that decision to do that, to simply put yourself out there, offer a product or service, means that you automatically have to accept that there are going to be complaints. Now, I'm very fortunate. I get very few complaints considering how many people purchase my stuff. I have tens of thousands of users of Rehearsal Pro, and I get maybe a complaint every couple of days. Some days I get 2 complaints. Some days I got none. With Vo2Go, I can count on one hand the number of complaints that I've had over the years about what we do. So I think part of that is making sure that I meet people's expectations, but occasionally there's going to be somebody who's upset. And you may have noticed, maybe you've engaged in this kind of behavior yourself. You may have noticed that since the internet has become a thing, complaining has become just like bloody. It's like people on the internet take the opportunity to eviscerate you as opposed to just, I remember when I was a kid, my grandfather or my dad or my mom or whatever would complain about something. They go, hey, can I talk to you about something? I'm not really happy with what happened here. Or we're at a restaurant and they need to talk to the manager or whatever. It's like, I really would like. Today, you've seen it. I mean, there are whole websites dedicated to people who are just jackasses about insulting people, taking it to extremes. The anonymity of the internet, the distance between us and who we purchase for online rather than in person, makes it real easy to get real crazy about complaining about things. And what I've noticed is happening is that kind of behavior is now starting to creep into face-to-face interactions. Somebody doesn't get a straw or an extra pickle on their hamburger and they're reaching over the counter at a McDonald's and punching somebody. I'm sure that these things happened in the past before the internet, but I gotta think not as much as now. Our behavior is being modeled by what we see online. And so knowing that I'm going to get these complaints and knowing that people tend to really overblow some of the things that they complain about. I talked in another video about somebody just like insulting me and calling me names for charging $20 for my app, which is a professional tool for actors to learn their lines. It's called Rehearsal Pro. Couldn't be more damning of me and my afterlife and the kind of relationships that I had with my mother, and I've seen worse. I've seen people who elevate it to an art form. And the question is, when you're facing this sort of thing, how do you deal with that? Do you yell back? Do you get just as cutting? You want to. You want to be able to say, I can do better at that sort of behavior than you can. And the truth of the matter is that I can. And when I find myself feeling that, and I'm the one doing the complaining, I always pull back and remember that I have to be on the other end of that conversation as someone who offers a product or service. And a long time ago, I learned one of the basics of customer service, and that is to walk a mile or 2, or at least 10 feet in your customer's shoes. And I have a phrase that I'd like to share with you that I think you'll find useful when you deal with a customer that has a complaint, that is upset with you, that has a disagreement with you. And remember, everyone's a customer. Go watch the video on who's a customer. Everyone's a customer. Friends, family, not just the people that consume our products and services, but everybody. Vendors, teammates, peer group, social media people, they're all customers. They all want something. They all have expectations, whether they're low or high. So when somebody has an issue, Here's where I tend to begin. And I tend to use these words verbatim because they cover the waterfront. And that is, I completely understand, and I would feel exactly the same way you do if I were in your place. So somebody is just pissed off at me, mad, they're frustrated. This happened once when I was having lunch with Betsy at a California pizza kitchen. A guy was sending me all kinds of really abusive email about the fact that he knows he entered his username and password when he registered for Rehearsal Pro, and now my stupid effing app won't take his username and password. And, this is crap. I paid $20 for this. This is like, I'm trying to get this stuff done, and your app is killing my acting career. It just became really, and I'm looking at this, and I'm like, can I just call him? And she's like, yeah, go ahead. I think she secretly loves watching me when I am dealing with this sort of thing, either bemused that it's happening to me or hopefully a little bit of respect about how I handle things. So I said, hey, could you do me a favor and just call me? Because I think we'd be able to handle this easier with a phone call. And the moment you actually talk to somebody, all of that vitriol kind of dissolves a little bit, because now there's a live person on the other end of the phone. And I in that phone call, I probably was on the phone with the guy for maybe 10 minutes while we were waiting for our food. And I never raised my voice. When he raised his voice, I said, I understand. I started the conversation with, Steve, thank you so much for calling me. And I completely understand how you feel. I would feel exactly the same way if I were in your shoes. I'm sure it's very frustrating. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what it is. So I said, you're having problems logging in. Is that right? And he said, yeah, I'm tapping in my username. Or he said, actually what he said was, I'm tapping in my email address and my password. And I said, can I ask you a question? I heard you say you're tapping in your email address as your username and your password, and it's saying invalid username or password. Is that right? Yes. And I know I'm tapping it correctly. I know I entered it correctly. I don't need your stupid app to tell me that I don't know how to tap on my iPhone. And I said, well, what I heard you say was you're tapping in your email address. Is that right? Yeah. I said, do you remember when you registered that you selected a username that wasn't your email address? I don't know if you remember that. I know you just registered about a half an hour ago. Do you remember that? He goes, yeah. And you could hear the gears turning. And I said, so what I'd like you to do is, if you wouldn't mind, your email address is not the same as your username. Could you please tap in the username that you selected and the email address that you chose and see if that works? Okay. Like, he already realized what his mistake was. And he tapped it in, and son of a gun if it didn't work. And he said, here's what he said. He said, thanks. And he hung up. Okay. I think at that point my appetizer showed up. It was like, great. And about, I would say 5 minutes later, my phone rang, and it was him. And I'm like, oh, what other problem is he having? And I picked up the phone, and he spent the next, I would say 5 minutes or so, apologizing as vociferously as he had been complaining, with language that, if what he was using when he was complaining was dark and threatening and awful, when he was apologizing and telling me how great my app was, it was amazing and awesome and supportive, and I'll tell all my friends about it, and I'm already rehearsing with my script, and this is just great, and I can't believe I was such a jerk when I was complaining to you. And I think that the phrase, I completely understand how you feel, and I would feel the same way if I were in your place, acknowledges that the person is upset, that you understand why and how, and that if you were them, you'd be feeling the same way. And so you're identifying with them. And we've all seen examples of managers at restaurants and store clerks and so on who have this way with people that is really patient and really kind, and they manage to work things out. Some people, I will warn you, if you put this into play, some people are just not going to respond. They just have decided that you are the devil incarnate, that you've ripped them off, and no matter what you say or how you say it, you are not going to tell them any different, even if you point out the fact that the way they were doing something needed to be changed for them to get what they wanted. So, but 99% of the time, I don't know if that's the right number, but let's just say it is. That phrase, I completely understand how you feel, and I'd feel the same way if I were in your shoes or if I were in your place, is amazing. It's amazing. And it's such a diffuser. So use that. Not just when you're dealing with people who have purchased something from you or that you're providing a service for, but what if you said that to your spouse or to your kids or to your church members, parishioner, social network people, instead of jumping online on a Facebook group and just playing the troll or dealing with the troll, instead of trying to out-troll the troll, what if you either just ignored them, or said, hey, I think that, I understand how you're feeling. People don't expect that. It's totally disarming. And they instantly wonder what your problem is. What do you have up your sleeve? What are you trying to do? What are you trying to pull over on me? So I wonder if you have any magic phrases. I wonder if you have any ways of killing customers with kindness. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know if this is helpful, right? If you want to sign up for my channel so you can hear these new videos as they come out, go ahead and click on my head over there. If there's no head, there's a subscribe button somewhere on the page that you're watching this on. You want to see the latest video? Well, YouTube will do that for you. Go ahead and click on that frame there, and they will instantly play it. It's awesome. I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. I thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.